Chapter 4. The Book of Path to Enlightenment. The real state of the world. The Lord Buddha said that if one immerses oneself in worldly pleasure without understanding the consequences, thinking that they are skillful, when in actual fact they are just good, that one will not be able to understand the real state of life and the world. How can we learn about the real state of life and the world? The Buddha said that just as a goldsmith knows and recognizes pure gold as opposed to fool's gold or gold mixed with other metals, one will have to understand the real make-up of the world and the various realms of planes of life. The goldsmith knows the components of gold in an ornament. Likewise, we should know the real components, constituents, or make-up of everything in the world. Examining the world has many living beings and many things, and it is huge. How do we investigate the understand such a world? For ease of understanding, the Lord Buddha has guided us to separate the entire world into two categories before we begin our investigation. First, living or animate. So we can consider humans, animals, insects, etc. And the non-living or lifeless objects, inanimate things, buildings, vehicles, furniture, ornaments, etc. Let us begin with ourselves, for it is easy to see and close and hand. When we consider ourselves, we can see also distinct components. They are our body, which is tangible, and our mind, which is not tangible. Together, we refer to it as a living being or human being. Let us examine the body that is easy to see and tangible, unlike the mind. When a person dies, we say that he is no longer living, lifeless, or that he has passed away. What has happened? What has passed away? Life or the mind is no longer present in the body. If you believe in rebirth becoming, you may use conventional truth and say that the life or the mind has gone to another body, as this body can no longer sustain life. What does a living being need to sustain life? It needs physical nutriments. From birth until it dies, living beings consumes gross and subtle nutriments for their survival. Living beings consumes solid food, water, and air to live. What do we eat in the way of solid food? One may say that we eat plant matter and meat or fish for our survival. If we consider the food chain, one will see that the very bottom of the food chain is made up of plant matter such as fruits, leaves, yams, grains, and roots. For example, grass and hay is fed to the cattle and that are used for beef, and grains are fed to the chickens for we consume. In the end, all the food what we eat is from plant matter. What are plants made up of? To grow, plants need earth, water, sunlight or heat, and air. Therefore, we can surmise that this body we refer to as me, mind, is ultimately made up of earth, water, heat, and air. What happens to our body when we die? We may be cremated or buried. In the end, the body decays and goes back to the earth. The last breath goes back to the air. Any water goes back to the earth and the water table below. And the heat goes back into the atmosphere. After that, this body disintegrates and goes back to earth. In summary, this person that we called I is made up of a mind and body. So long as they are together, we say that it is a living being. At death, when they are separated, we say that the body is lifeless. Then we consider our body on its own. It is a non-living component, and the mind is the component that we consider as life. Therefore, to find out about the entire world, we need to begin by investigating our own body and that which we call mind as a life. When we rotating a burning torch of fire very fast in a circular motion, we see a circle of fire, but when we stop the act of rotation, we realize that it is just a burning torch. The circle of fire was an illusion and does not really exist. The fast pace of rotation led to false image of a circle of fire. In the same way, the Buddha said that the way we see this body is an illusion, a false image that leads to desire. He said that this body is made up of indivisible particles that have the properties or nature of earth, water, fire, and air, that arise and pass away at a very fast pace. In the Sammaditthi Sutta, that is another discourse given by the Sariputta Thera, said we should have proper understanding of the place and danger of the nutriments. We will need to investigate this further. The body, just a heap of earth. What we was happened to all the food and drink that we have taken from the time of birth? Do we still have all that we have consumed from birth? No. It has nourished and kept this body alive by transforming it into various body parts and secretion and excretion such as mucus, tears, saliva, phlegm, sweat, pus, urine, feces, etc. Our physical body, all the body parts that made up this body are made up of the properties of earth, water, heat and air. This body is just a heap of earth. One's parents, spouse, children and all beings are sustained by food, earth. All that we do to beautify and adorn this body, washing, dressing, ornamenting, etc., are all done to this heap of earth. We are constantly doing all of this because we don't understand that this body is really just a heap of earth. All living beings, including animals, are just a lump of earth. That is why the Lord Buddha has said to live knowing and understanding that everything we do to preserve and beautify this body is of no value because this body itself is of no value. Do we ever think or realize that we are carrying excrement when we are moving? We do not like to touch or smell excrement when it is outside the body, but we do not think about it when it is inside. We do not wish to understand this truth because of our desire, lust and craving of this body. Therefore, we must subdue our desire for our bodies at every opportunity. If we don't do so, we will never understand the truth. We must live understanding the real nature of our body and mind. We are unable to do so because of our strong samsaric habit of desire. We have been doing so all throughout our lives, but we have to give up that habit of associating oneself with the desiring of the external objects. When you go back home and when you see your children, do you think that they are just a heap of earth? No. Do you move away from them? No. Why? The Lord Buddha said that when you are with desire for those that you love, you can never stay away from them. You cannot let go them. So you should understand that all those you love are not what they seem to be. They are just a heap of earth. When you think of all the acts of your children, don't you go in search of the causes of their conduct? This is a result of your past habit of desire, suspicion and fear. You will never realize the truth if you cannot eliminate desire. In the Bala Vagga of the Dhammapada, the Buddha said putta matti dhanam matti iti balo vihanyati atta hi attano natti kuto putta kuto dhanam. I have sons, I have wealth. Thus the fool torments himself when even he himself doesn't belong to himself. How then sons, how wealth? By knowing this, we are able to develop the Noble Eightfold Path. How we develop that? The right view, Samma Ditti. This is your first glimpse of the reality of the body. By knowing the reality of the body, you are able to understand the non-living, inanimate objects in the entire world as creation of the earth element, water element, heat element and the air element. We begin development right view by knowing this. This is important as it leads to letting go of the habit of desire. Then you know the second right thought, Samma Sankappa. It is now possible for thoughts of letting go, renunciation or right thought to arise in the mind. That is, we have free of sensual desire. The three right thoughts are goodwill, harmlessness and renunciation. Based on the first glimpse of right view, you begin to understand that there is no reason to desire anything or any person, because all beings are just heap of earth. Also, there is no reason to harm anybody, because there is no real person to harm. Therefore, the possibility of letting go of everything and everyone, because all persons and things are of no value, is understood. Then you develop the third one as the right speech, that is Samma Vacha, speaking about the world based on the understanding of the properties of the earth, water, heat and the air elements is right speech. This is because when thinking the speaking like this, one doesn't create any desire, anger or delusion in one's speech. So you will develop the fourth one, right action, that is Samma Kammanta. By developing right view and right thoughts and right speech, you will also developing right actions, and you will developing the right livelihood, that is Samma Ajiva, developing right action and right living and knowing, working according to right view leads to right livelihood. Then you develop the sixth one as the right effort, Samma Vayama. This will help you to develop right effort. Living with right thought, speech and action will help to let go of unskillful thoughts that have arisen and prevent new unskillful thoughts from arising. It will also lead to the fruition of skillful thoughts and development of skillful thoughts that have not arisen. Then it becomes develop the right mindfulness, Samma Sati. This will lead to right mindfulness in your daily life because you have worked towards reducing desire and hindrances. It will also assist in developing right mindfulness in your meditation practice. So you develop the final right concentration, Samma Samadhi. The practice of the above in your daily life will enhance your meditation experience. This will help in developing right concentration required for the practice of insight meditation. Now you can now work at development all of the Noble Eightfold Path. By listening to the Dhamma, we can develop the mind to access Samadhi. That is known as access concentration, also known as Upachara Samadhi, which result in partial reduction of hindrances. Then, by developing this method further, you will gain Appana Samadhi, or the right concentration, which is required for the practice of insight meditation, Vipassana. However, at present, because of the force of the hindrances, you are unable to stay within the path. Hindrances make you remain within the worrisome, mundane, unwholesome path. That is why we need to develop our mind further to have the fully stable, hindrances free mind required for the practice of insight meditation.